Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ratu. I'm English education student 2014. This video is made for the requirement of my final project for my Sarjana Pendidikan degree in English. So, my final project under the title English Students' Difficulties in Completing Reading TOEFL section at 8th semester at Jambi University. Okay, we come to the chapter 1, Introduction, Background of the Study. Based on the preliminary study, the implementation of reading class, the students are taught how to preview main ideas, scanning for detail, using context, vocabulary, making inference of passage, identifying exception, locating reference, and reading faster. These skills has been studied in academic reading course. However, there is still unclear what the students' difficulty in completing reading TOEFL section. Therefore, I would like to propose the research title English Students' Difficulties in Completing Reading TOEFL section at 8th semester at Jambi University. Next, research question. Based on background of the research above, the problems of the study formulate as follows. Do English study program students of Jambi University find TOEFL reading skill difficult? And the second one, which TOEFL reading skills are difficult according to English study program students of Jambi University? Next, objective of the study. The objective of the study are as follows. To describe whether English study program students of Jambi University found TOEFL reading skills are difficult or not, and to describe which TOEFL reading skills are more difficult according to English study program students of Jambi University. Of the problem, particularly I concern on TOEFL reading skill that I have been mentioned before. There are 7 skills that are used in TOEFL reading section. Here we can see on the table. Okay, here TOEFL reading skills such to find out the topic and main idea. For the question number 1, 12, 21, and 32. For the transition, the question number 11, 40, and 41. And next for the vocabulary in context, there are so many questions here, and etc. for the other skills. Next, significance of the research. The benefit of the research are to provide information about the difficulties in completing TOEFL reading section as an encouragement for the student to anticipate the type of reading question which the most difficult, and they can apply the accurate strategy in answering TOEFL reading. If the difficulties in completing reading TOEFL section can be managed by the students, it can be an alternative for the lecturer for giving the most difficult the type of reading question on TOEFL reading, and the lecturer can give more strategy to answer reading TOEFL through fast trick. Next, definition of key term. There are TOEFL proficiency test and reading. Next, we come to chapter 2, review of literature. There are reading comprehension, reading accuracy, TOEFL, type of TOEFL test, aspect in skill of TOEFL reading section, types of reading, reading difficulties, and preview studies. And chapter 3, research method. The first, research design. This current research design use mixed method research design, both quantitative and qualitative approaches in single research together analyze the data. The focus of this research to describe whether English study program students of Jambi University found TOEFL reading skills were difficult or not, and to describe the which TOEFL reading skills were more difficult according to English study program students of Jambi University. And based on the purpose of the research saw a tendency to use descriptive study, which had a goal was to describe a phenomenon and its characteristics. This research more concerned with rather than how and how or why something has happened. Besides, this current study involves a proficiency test and an interview as instrument of the research. In this case, the combination of both quantitative and qualitative approaches to find out a finding from the two sources. Next, sampling procedures and participants. In this research, the sampling procedure that were used is total sampling. A total sampling was drawn by a procedure in which every member had been taken from the whole population. It means that the total sampling was suitable for this research because I took the participant from the second classes in 8th semester at English department, academic year 2021 and 2022. So it was not easy for me to identify students each individual. The students were taken by me about 40 students, and in this case it has been supported by Frankel and Wallen 2007, who asserted that samples larger than 330 are much likely to acquire meaningful results. All of the students at semester have passed academic reading course that involves skill in reading, especially in reading TOEFL section. Furthermore, I took eight semester students at English department to identify types of reading questions which the most difficult for each student at English department. To identify types of reading question in TOEFL section, I was conduct TOEFL test through Google Form, and based on the result of the test will assist me to look for the types of reading question which the most difficult. Then I could choose the participant who require low score to be interviewed by me. Next, research site and access. In doing this research, I conduct it at Jambi University. The participants of this research were EAL students in English department. For this research, I asked permission to investigate this research to the head of English education program and the team of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education program, which involved this study as participant to contribute the information of this research. Next, research instrument. In this research, the data will be obtained through TOEFL reading test, document analysis, and interview. TOEFL reading test would be the main instrument that could assist me to analyze students' difficulties in completing TOEFL reading session, whereas an interview will be supporting of this research. We come to the first instrument, that is test. The test means here is TOEFL reading test that was used to find out the most difficult in reading question which has faced with the students. I adopt 50 questions from Deborah Phillips' books. The selecting skill of the question based on the reading syllabus of the participant. In this case, the participant who have passed academic reading course with the least skill in the syllabus, as shown on the following table here. As I have mentioned before, is the skill here topic or main idea, stated detail question, and stated detail question, implied detail question, vocabulary question, where question, transition. Dengan menggunakan rumus F dikali N dikali 100%. F di sini frekuensi, yaitu soal yang benar dikali dengan jumlah soal lalu dibagi 100%. Untuk for the next instrument, that is interview. This research used in-depth interview as the main instrument of this research. The interview is used to investigate students' difficulties in completing reading TOEFL section, which can assist me to gain information deeply. In this case, I used in-depth interview. It was caused by me add some questions which were not included in the list of predetermined. However, in the implementation of the interview, I would use telephone interview because the rule of Indonesian government to keep social distancing during pandemic COVID-19. This interview based on agreement between me and the students. I use protocol interview, in-depth interview, which were by phone, and I record it by ask permission before do this. And the last instrument, document analysis. Document analysis was used by me to analyze quantitative data on students' score after completing TOEFL reading section. Based on this instrument could assist me to find out whether students can achieve high level, moderate level, or low level based on the result of English proficiency. And next we come to technique collecting of data. There are two parts here because we have quantitative and qualitative part. So I memisahkannya. First, we come to quantitative part. Firstly, I ask permission to the lecturer who teach academic reading course into link Google Form for TOEFL reading. And the next, I distribute the link Google Form to the Google Form for reading for TOEFL reading, and I also ask them to give pseudonym and their email address to see their score after finishing the test which has been given. And last, I select the participant who require low score into for reading as the participant in the next step, that is interview. And then we come to the qualitative part. I as the researcher made an appointment with the participant whether they were available or not to be interviewed. And next, I ask permission to deliver some question if they were available to be my participant. And the last, after finishing the interview, I will conduct member of checking if the result of interview may be not suitable based on the participant answer. And next, data analysis. After distributing TOEFL reading test to participants, I will analyze the data by finding out the student's correct answer. Then, from the student's correct answer, I will relate it with any skill of reading section of TOEFL test based on Deborah Phillips' book. In this step, I will divide the number of correct answer of each skill into range, and the data will be analyzed with the description analysis to find out of frequency, percentage, and the data distribution. Finally, to analyze the difficult skill, I will be comparing all of the skill result, and finally any question of skill with the less correct answer will consider as difficult skill in reading section of TOEFL of the 8th semester English students. After finishing the quantitative data, I will analyze the data interview. The data obtained from the demographic survey was analyzed descriptively, while data was gained from interview process which would be quoted were transcribed and translated into English before being analyzed descriptively. And I will find the several common themes shared by the participant. and then the common themes will be discussed descriptively. Next, level of proficiency in TOEFL. This table elaborated the level of proficiency students in taking TOEFL test for the range 310 to 421 as elementary, 420 to 480 as low intermediate, 480 to 520 high intermediate, and the last 525 to 600 to 77 as advanced. And next, item difficulty. An analysis of the item difficulty intend to find out how far or easy a test which had been conducted. To calculate degree of the item difficulty could be done by comparing between total number of test takers who answer correct answer and the total number of test takers who answered incorrectly, or it can be formulated and simplified as below. P soal yang benar dibagi total siswa yang ikut tes. So we can see here the degree of difficulty could be seen in the table below. Range 0.10 as difficult, 0.50 moderate, and 0.90 is easy. And next we come to chapter 5, finding and discussion. Overview of the study. In analyzing the data, firstly, I distribute tests on 6 May 2021 to describe the which TOEFL reading skill are more difficult according to English study program students, which was given to students at 8th semester at English study program in Jambi University. Hence, they were categorized as the participant in quantitative research. Then, after got the result of the data and it was reliable, I continue to select the participant who require low score in the TOEFL reading to be interviewed. It was conducted on 21st of May 2021. After finishing collecting data, I began to describe whether English study program students of Jambi University found TOEFL reading skills are difficult or not. In this study, there were 23 students who gave their contribution in filling TOEFL reading test to get the general data information, which all of them were in 8th semester of English study program in Jambi University. They were from class R1, R2, and or R3. And after that, I select the participant whether require low score or high score in taking TOEFL test that had just been done. If they require low score, they would be asked to participate to be interviewed by me. And finally, I found that the only 5 who require low score. Meanwhile, I plan to investigate 10 students as participants of interview. However, when I took the data, there were only 4 students willing to participate in this research. They were consist of 2 male and 2 female students. I give initial name for them. There are Ado, Apu, FNA, and MFA. Next, finding the most difficult TOEFL reading skill according to English study program of students of Jambi University. First skill, finding main idea. The following table show the result of skill of finding main idea. Skill is consists of 4 questions. I divided it into range of correct answer to find the percentage of correct answer by students as follows. range of correct answer here. For the students who correct just one answer and just one question, who correct with one question, there are 10 students here, so the percentage are 43. And next, for the 2 question to 3, here there are 8 students, and for the percentage 34%. And for the students can answer 3 to 4 question, there are 5 students here, so for the percentage there are 21%. It was described in table that on finding main idea question skill, almost all of the students could only have answered correctly less than 4 questions out of 4 less than 4 question out of 4 question. It's 43%. Meanwhile, only 5 students that has many correct answer. It can be said that the skill was difficult to be solved. In other words, finding main idea was difficult. Skill for the participant. And next skill 2, stated detailed question. This part shows the result of stated detailed question. This skill consists of 11 questions. I divided into a range of correct answer to find the percentage of student answer correctly by student as follows. We can see on the table. It was described in the table that where many students could have answered correct less than 6 questions out of 11 questions, about 30%. Meanwhile, only 6 students that has many correct answer. Then it also has common with the students who require 6 to 8 correct answer. It can be said that this skill was difficult to be solved. In other words, stated detailed question was also to be this difficult skill for the participant. Next, we come to skill 3, unstated detailed question. This part shows the result of unstated detailed question. This skill consists of 2 questions. I divided into a range of correct answer to find out the percentage of student answer correct by students. As we can see from the table, it was described there were many students could have an answer correctly more than 1 question out of 2 questions, about 52%, and on the contrary, only 11 students that has 1 correct answer. It can be said that this skill was moderate to solve. In other words, unstated detailed question was one of moderate skill for the participant. Next, skill 4, implied detailed question. The following table shows the result of skill implied detailed question. This skill consists of 3 questions. I divided into a range of correct answer to find the percentage of student answer correctly by the student. So we can see from the table here, it was described that on implied detailed question, there were many students could have answered correctly more than 2 questions out of 3 questions, is about 60%, and meanwhile only 9 students that has 1 correct answer. It can be said that this skill was moderate to be solved. In other words, implied detailed question was moderate skill for the participant. It's similar with the skill 3 before, it's the same. They are moderate. And next, skill 5, vocabulary question. This part shows the result of vocabulary question. This skill consists of 23 questions. I divided into range of correct answer to find the percentage of students answer correctly by the student. We can see on the table. It was described on the table that on vocabulary question, there were many students could have answered correctly that less than 23 questions out of 23 questions. it's 13%. Meanwhile, only 3 students that has 23 correct answer. Then it also has common with the students who require 6 to 8 correct answers and 12 to 14 correct answer, 15 to 17 correct answer, 8 to 20 correct answer, and 21 to 23 correct answer. It can be said that skill was moderate to be solved. In other words, vocabulary question was moderate skill for the participant. So when we flash back with the 3 skill before, skill 3, skill 4, and skill 5 still moderate. And next, skill 6, word question. This part shows the result of word question. This skill consists of 4 questions. I divided into range of correct answer to find out the percentage of student answer correctly by student as follows. We can see on it was described in table. On finding word question skill, almost all of students could only have answered correctly less than 2 questions out of 4 questions, 60%. Meanwhile, only 5 students that has many correct answers. It can be said that the skill was difficult to be solved. In other words, word question was to be difficult skill for the participant. And the last skill, transition question. This part shows the result of the word question. This skill consists of 3 questions that I divided into range of correct answer to find the percentage of students correct answer correctly by the student. We can see on the table, it was described that there were many students could have answered correctly less than 3 questions out of question is 91%. On the contrary, only 2 students that has many correct answer. It can be said that the skill was difficult to be solved. In other words, transition question was one of difficult skill for the participant. And next, level of student difficulty in TOEFL reading skills. This part, the result of level of difficulty in TOEFL reading skills. This reading skill consists of 7 skills such as topic or main idea, stated detailed question, unstated detailed question, implied detailed question, vocabulary question, word question, and transition question. I elaborate the degree of difficulty in TOEFL reading skill based on total correct answer each question to determine the level of difficulty this reading skill. It can be seen as follows. We can see on the table, after I analyze the data comparing all of the skill, I present the data present in a table to make it easier to compare those skills. It was described that the most difficult in TOEFL reading skill that is transition question. Then it was also followed by the topic main ideas, stated detailed question, and word question. Meanwhile, the moderate TOEFL and reading skill are such as unstated detail, implied detail, and vocabulary in context. In other words, table 4.4 showed that the considered to be the most difficult one in TOEFL reading, which is skill 7. This skill is responding of transition question correctly. The range can be seen on the table 4.4, so that skill 7 require range 0.13 for level of difficulty item. Then it is followed by skill first, that is 0.21, which is finding topic and main idea. Skill 6 to 0.21, which is finding specific information, and the skill 2 0.26, which is finding stated detail. And next, finding of whether English study program student of Jambi University found TOEFL reading skill are difficult or not. As presented in the previous chapter, that the previous chapter that the data were collected through tests, document and collection, and interview. For the interview, each participant were interviewed about 13 minutes. I found a challenge to meet them because the pandemic of COVID-19 and also have problems with their time of allocation for interviewing, whereas the document collection was only used for supporting data to analyze quantitative data on student score after completing TOEFL reading section. So document collection could assist the researcher, could assist me to select the participant who require low score in TOEFL reading test to be interviewed. Actually, there was one main theme regarding with the kind of student difficulties in TOEFL reading test. 3 sub-themes were obtained from the participant response about whether students get difficulties on TOEFL reading section or not as written in the first question. The 2 tables below give a clear view of question kind of students' difficulties in TOEFL reading test from participant experiences. Here there are kind of students' difficulties in TOEFL reading test. Themes related to the first question: do English study program students of Jambi University find TOEFL reading skill difficult? So I found here just 3 sub-themes with the same. There is lack of accuracy in reading, availability of time during the test, and lack of vocabulary. And first, to adult, lack of accuracy when reading or reviewing the question so that there are miss when I answer the question. And according to Apu, the most difficult thing after taking TOEFL test is to stay focused on TOEFL reading test. Based on the statement before, it can be assumed that the accuracy in reading can influence the reader to comprehend reading text, so that the reader have lack of accuracy in reading can cause them the get failure in taking reading test. Availability of time during the test. 2 participants gave their responses regarding availability of time during the test affect to their performance on the TOEFL reading test. According to Apu, I cannot manage the time when I still focus on question that I don't understand can cause me require poor result. And then according to F and A, the factors that make it fail are usually the available of time, speed of answering the question, and thinking because of limited time. From the statement above, it can be assumed that availability of time during the test can affect student performance during the test take place. And for the last sub-themes, lack of vocabulary. There are 2 participants give their responses regarding lack of vocabulary affect their comprehending of meaning in reading text. According to FMEFA, in my opinion, the most difficult things is finding hidden meaning and then matching it with the answer, because the question always appear in a very TOEFL test. Synonym of unfamiliar word are difficult for us. Moreover, for people whose are lack of vocabulary, and there are seldom familiar vocabulary in reading text. And according to Apu, there are several factors that make me fail in the TOEFL reading section, such as the vocabulary, and also I cannot manage the time when I still focus on question that I don't understand can cause me requiring poor result. Based on the statement above, it can be assumed that lack of vocabulary can affect for the comprehending of meaning text in synonym and the guessing vocabulary in context that they get difficulties in answering reading question. And next we come to discussion. In this section, the results are divided according to the objectives are as follows: whether English study program students of Jambi University found TOEFL reading skills are difficult or not. The results show that English study program students of Jambi University found difficulties in TOEFL reading skills such as lack of accuracy in reading, availability of time during the test, and lack of vocabulary. This result consistent with Ali 2012, Fitriani 2015, Anthony 2014, and Algail and Madfood 2016 indicate that reading difficulties were caused several factors such as lack of ability to understand a particular text, the limitation of vocabulary from understanding the meaning of the English text. Consequently, the impact on the student's ability in answering questions in reading comprehension section of TOEFL test has influenced their performance of the test. This result in line with Lovia Girsang, Marbun, Turnip, and Saragi 2019 denote that the biggest problem in reading comprehension in the TOEFL test was due to lack of interest in reading high school students, so they would feel bored by seeing the text in front of them, and it was still difficult for high school students to find the meaning of the text due to lack of vocabulary and lack of practice to answer questions related to reading comprehension with the lack of practice. They think that the time of answer question is not enough. However, this research has different with the current research. This is senior high school students. And the most difficult skill in TOEFL reading test, finding table 4.4 so that they are considered to be the most difficult ones in TOEFL reading, which is skill 7. This skill is responding of transition question correctly. The range can be seen on the table 4.4, so that the skill 7 require range 0.13 for level of difficulty items. Then is followed by skill 1 0.21, which is finding topic or main idea. Skill 6 0.21, which is finding specific information, and the last skill 2 0.26, which is finding static detail. This result of the study in line with Octarina denoted that the result of the study found that the most difficult reading skill in TOEFL test encompass finding main idea, impact detail question, unstated detail, and stated detail question, and vocabulary question. She has similar result with the current research such as finding main idea, stated detail question. On contrary, she has different with the result of the current research such as impact detail question, unstated detail question, and vocabulary question. Meanwhile, Samad, Jana, and Fitriani 2017 found that there are 5 the most difficult skill in reading TOEFL section, such as answer implied detail question correctly, the response the detail question correctly, the use of context to give meaning of difficult word, and answer main idea question correctly, and determine implication from word. Based on the result of the research, so that the result of this research has similar result with the current study encompasses the response that stated detail question, answer main idea correctly, and determine implication from word part. Based on the result of the study, so that the ordering difficulty item in TOEFL reading skill encompass responding of transition question 0.13, finding topic or main idea 0.21, finding specific information 0.21, and finding the stated detail 0.26. The implementation of the research is supposed to be able to grow up students' motivation to practice TOEFL reading skill, so they can anticipate difficulty that has to be faced by them when they are took TOEFL reading test. In this case, the role of lecturer in learning process at the classroom by giving students motivation to read scientific articles for developing students' vocabulary and comprehending the meaning of reading text. And for the last chapter, conclusion and suggestion. This chapter draws the conclusion and suggestion dealing with the kind of student difficulties in TOEFL reading test at semester students of English study program in Jambi University. First, conclusion. In this research, the purposes that want to be achieved were to describe which TOEFL reading skills are more difficult according to the English study programs of students of Jambi University, which was given to students at semester, and to describe whether English study program students of Jambi University found TOEFL reading skills are difficult or not. But based on finding and discussion from her study, firstly, the results saw that English study program students of Jambi University found difficulty in TOEFL reading skills such as lack of accuracy in reading, availability of time during the test, and lack of vocabulary. Secondly, the result of the study saw that the ordering of difficulty item in reading skill encompass responding of transition question require item difficulty 0.13, finding topic or main idea require item difficulty 0.21, and finding specific information require item difficulty 0.21, and finding the static detail require item difficulty 0.26. And last, for the suggestion, in this research, the students at English study program have kind of difficulties in TOEFL reading skills. Here, I suggest some recommendation for the student and the lecturer. For the students, students have to have a habit to read a scientific article to develop their vocabularies and increase their comprehension on reading. For the lecturer, the lecturer should develop students' vocabulary in reading by finding similar meaning and opposite meaning. Then the lecturer should show how to guess the meaning based on the context. Furthermore, for the other researcher who is interested in conducting the other research but in the same scope, it will be better. More for the other researcher who is interested in conducting the other research but in the same scope, it will be better to gain more deep information about students' difficulties in TOEFL reading skill. Finally, this research on the students' difficulties reading skill could also extend it outside the college. It is considered that language learning takes place elsewhere too.